So you're paying the mortgage, you're paying the bills, you take your kids for the football practice on the weekends, and you're running other errands for as long as you actually have the time to do it, because you're working long hours to make it all happen, right? To keep the show running. And then you're taking your family for a nice vacation once or twice a year. So for as long as you're concerned, you have your end of the bargain, which is the relationship between you and your significant other, fulfilled. And it all should, in theory, work nice and well. And you're expecting a fair return on your time and investment and everything, on your hard work. You're expecting acknowledgement of your efforts. You're expecting some recognition. You're expecting some intimacy and love and all of those nice things that go with a nice relationship where the two people love each other. But for whatever reason, all of those things are a thing of the past in your life. Nowadays, you just get the cold shoulder. And then what you do is you just resort to the screens. And that is the preferred method of getting intimacy these days. And you don't even remember what it was like to have it in real life, you know? Maybe it happens occasionally, but it just feels like a battlefield. It just feels like a battlefield, almost like a nuisance. And then over time, you haven't even noticed probably how you have let yourself go in other areas in your life. And you are already treating yourself like a second-class citizen without even realizing it. You just let yourself go. It happens. And then next thing you know is your manliness erodes. You don't even respect yourself anymore, because all of those words have kind of lost their meaning, because you are so dragged into the routine, in the rat race, just making sure that the bills are paid, that you've totally lost the perspective, you know? What can be done there is you can try and get to the root cause of all of that. And I can show you how you can identify the emotion that is the biggest blockage. And in case you're wondering why emotion, what's it got to do with emotions? Well, let me break it to you. Your life and your behaviors and your choices and everything is driven by how you feel internally. Now let's do a small experiment, okay? Imagine yourself in a situation when you wanted to do something. Either it was a commitment or some kind of a project or whatever it was, but it was something that you thought would be a good thing to do, and you were about to start doing it. How did you feel inside? There are basically two options. Either you really wanted to do it, you were motivated, driven, you had the passion and you had that goal clearly in your mind, or you were struggling, you were procrastinating. The things that were going on in your mind at that time were about how to avoid doing it. For whatever reason, something inside of you didn't want to do it. So it's one or the other, pretty much. So, how aren't your emotions then the ones that are actually driving your life? Because those things that you just described, either you're procrastinating internally or you're motivated and driven, and then you just go and do it. Those are your emotional states. That is something that you feel. And similarly, all other areas in your life are governed by your emotional states. So when you are working hard and you are expecting your wife to recognize you for your efforts and for your contribution to the family and everything, what is that emotion internally? Try and define it. Try and define it. most likely you're gonna give it the following definition. It is something inside of me that is trying to be acknowledged, needed, wanted. So, do you see how with all of that comes that neediness factor? You need something from her. And she feels it. She knows it. In the very beginning, when your relationship just started, and both of you had the rosy glasses on, it probably went unnoticed. You were in love, and she admired you, and you were working hard, and you provided. But then over time, she started feeling, probably even without realizing, how that neediness inside of you, neediness to be acknowledged every day, all the time, she just got sick of that. She developed an aversion towards it. Instead of a true man, instead of a leader who comes home radiating confidence and power, comes home with some kind of a plan, something unexpected, a surprise, someone who can excite her and bring the excitement into the mundane daily routine, right? Instead of that person, you're just coming home needing something from her. And deep down inside, she just feels it. That's why the cold shoulder. That's why the lack of recognition. Because she's not your mother. She is not the one to give you recognition. The recognition that you probably are still looking from everyone, from her, from your colleagues, from your boss at work. That's why you're burning out. That's why it feels like it's a rat race. And that emotion, an emotional state and feeling has brought you to this place, to this miserable place where you're just staring at the screen, putting up with this substitute for what could have been otherwise an amazing life.